Now that the All-Star break is wrapped up and we're now starting to hit that final stretch and back half of the NBA season, lately the talk around the league has been the observation of just how big and heavy that the league has been relying on the marketability and the brand of guys like LeBron James, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant, and just how important they are to the overall brand of the league. And with that observation, it has also set in, and we're witnessing essentially the final stretch of their NBA careers before they end up hanging it up and retiring. Now obviously those guys are still playing at elite levels, but inevitably, like most good things, they unfortunately have to come to an end. And with all of that, post All-Star break, a lot of the conversation recently surrounding fans and viewers have been, when those guys inevitably hang it up and retire and leave the game, just who is that player that's going to take that mantle and take that throne and be the successor to those guys and become the face of the league like we witnessed with LeBron. And with that conversation, a lot of people have come to the conclusion that the NBA is in trouble, that they don't have a true successor to become that face of the league, and that they've been getting saved by these last few years by LeBron and in the previous generation, Michael Jordan, and everything about how the league has been so reliant upon their marketability and what they do for their brand of the league. And today I just wanted to touch on that and give my opinion on just who could potentially be the face of the league, and if so, who is it, and if not, what next? So in my opinion, I think that there isn't going to be anybody to take that throne from essentially LeBron as the face of the league, and who's going to solely demand the most attention, solely be the most profitable and the most marketable player throughout the entire league, and who can dominate in that sense. And I think that there isn't no sole singular person. But to say that, that doesn't mean that I think essentially that the NBA is in trouble. A lot of people have been saying that the NBA is in trouble, and that because they don't have a sole successor to that throne, that is going to bode a problem for them. And I can kind of understand that level of thinking, but at the same time, just looking at the whole landscape of the entire league, I think that there is so much elite top level talent, and that there's just so much marketability, so much brand deal, so much commercial, just so much social media presence, that there isn't just one singular person that is so overbearing among the others that can, dominate in that sense. But I also think that that's not a bad thing. And I think once those guys like LeBron, Curry, Durant end up retiring and leaving the game, that I think the league is in good hands, because I think when you look at just all this elite level talent, just look at some of the guys, Giannis, Jokic, Tatum, Anthony Edwards, Ja Morant, Luka Doncic, SGA. I think those are just a few names of just some guys who are just so elite that, obviously you have your number 1 and 2 and 3 guys, but after that, everything else, it dang near seems interchangeable in the way that, just how good they are. And some guys are more marketable than others, and some guys are better than others, but it's a compilation of both and what makes you the face of the league. And I think having that wide spread of talent and marketability to go around is great for a brand, especially if the NBA leans into it instead of forcing that face onto just one player when there's just so many other players who you can share that with. I think a good example of this is the early 2000s in that post-Jordan era. In my opinion, there wasn't a sole face of the league, because one, I don't think LeBron truly became that singular face of the league and dominated that throne until he went to Miami, and he became kind of like the villain, and everything was surrounding him. Everybody was wondering what he was going to do. In my opinion, once he made the decision to leave and go to Miami, that's when I think everything centered around him, and that's when he became the face of the league. But before then, with his first stint in Cleveland, I don't think you can solely say that he was the de facto number 1 in terms of marketability and branding. And I know a lot of people might put Kobe on that throne during that time period, but at the same time, I don't feel that Kobe overtook that throne. And obviously Kobe was one of the faces of the league, but I don't think he solely dominated in that sense to where he was the NBA, if you get what I mean. I think in that early 2000s period, I think it was a mixture of Allen Iverson, Kobe Bryant, Shaq, Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady, just a few names of some guys who were were so talented and so dang near equal in terms of just not only how good they were, but also, you know, their overall marketability and branding and what they can do for the league in that terms of things. And I think that it was just so equal, or just so relative, that I think they shared it. I think because you saw plenty of commercials with AI, you saw plenty of commercials with Kobe Bryant, you saw plenty of commercials with Shaq, you saw plenty of commercials with just so many other guys, and just so much of the league was ran through that collection of players in terms of their branding, in terms of their marketability, everything they did in the media, and how well they represented the league. And I think they did that as a collective in terms of just how they represented the entire NBA. And that's why I'm confident that the league can repeat this and utilize just their overall surplus of talent that they have all across the NBA. And as long as the league doesn't force that throne onto one singular player, and they lean into their overall surplus of talent, and elite level talent at that, and the elite level of marketability and branding that these players can provide, I think that'll be a great benefit to the league. And I think that in the long run, that'll actually help the league until they ended up finding their next sole face. Now, me personally, I think the most likely candidate for that next throne would be a guy like Victor Wembanyama. But I think at this current moment, given the timeline of where LeBron and those guys are, and given the timeline on when I'm projecting Wemby to really hit that stride and start, he's already elite, but when he starts being, you know, just being more competitive in the sense of his team is winning, he's in the playoffs, he's, you know, in the MVP race, and once he gets to that stage of his career, that's when I feel like, okay, Wembanyama will become and take that throne. But I think at the moment, I think he's slowly growing into that, and the league is slowly grooming him into that. But I think at the current moment, within the next, between now and the next 4 to 5 years, I think that the league would benefit by allowing these other guys to kind of share the pie. Guys like John Morant, Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic, Jason Tatum, SGA. I think those are guys who can share that pot and coexist as faces of the NBA. But let me know what you think down below. If you had to choose one, who would be the most likely de facto face of the entire NBA? But I appreciate you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more. Peace out.